is a certain kind of doubt that doesn't make a scene. It doesn't shout. It doesn't collapse. It simply whispers all day long. You walk into a room, and it walks in with you. You speak, and it quietly asks if that was the right thing to say. You smile, and it wonders if you seem confident enough. You make a choice, and it checks whether someone might disapprove. Not dramatic, but it's constant. And over time, it shapes how you show up, how you speak, how you dress, how you connect, and most of all, how you treat yourself when no one's watching. We call it overthinking. But often, it's something deeper, a quiet system of rules you never meant to write, but now follow every day. And if you've ever felt that, even for a moment, this might be worth listening to. I still remember sitting at the kitchen table as a child, staring at my plate with silent despair. I wasn't being punished. I wasn't in trouble. I just had to eat my carrots, and not the sweet, crunchy kind freshly pulled from the ground, but those pale, mushy ones that came from a can. My mother, bless her, would boil them until the only question left was whether I should eat them with a fork or a spoon. It was the kind of meal that made time slow down. I could sit there for what felt like hours, chewing on nothing but the idea that I had no way out. And when I asked, "Why do I have to eat this?" my mother always gave the same answer. It was never about vitamins or health or growing strong. It was simply, "Because I say so." Those words are etched in my memory like a sign above a locked door. Because I say so. What's remarkable is not just that I remember it, but that I've learned over the years I'm not alone. I've spoken with dozens, if not hundreds of people who've carried some version of those words with them into adulthood. And not just the words themselves, but the logic behind them. The built-in structure of having to do things without ever asking who decided it had to be that way. The funny part? Most of the time, we're still the ones saying it. Only now, it's not our mother's voice, it's our own. And when we ask ourselves, why do I have to? The answer is just as blunt, just as automatic. Because I say so. We do an enormous amount of things because we've told ourselves we must. And sometimes that's beautiful. Drinking enough water, eating healthy, caring for your child, showing up for your aging parents. These are the kind of musts we can feel proud of. They come from love, values, care. And when we ask ourselves why they matter, the answer, "Because I say so," feels solid. It feels earned. But not all musts serve us. Some of them are just noise in our heads. Unspoken rules we've picked up along the way. Rules we never chose, but still obey. You must always be kind. You must always be polite, even when someone needs clear, direct feedback. You must never be seen without makeup. You must never wear a sloppy sweater in public. Because what would people think? These are the kinds of musts that don't help. They sneak in, tighten around us, and turn everyday choices into little sources of stress. And we rarely stop to ask, who made these rules? Who said this was necessary? Not long ago, I was speaking with a woman in a session. She was a mother, intelligent, warm, clearly someone who cared deeply about doing things right. At one point she said, "I have to leave on time to pick up my child. Otherwise the teacher gets upset." Now, on the surface, that seems totally reasonable. But listen carefully to the construction. She wasn't just saying, "I want to be on time." She said, "I have to." Not only because of punctuality, but because the teacher might be upset. So there were actually two unspoken musts in that sentence. One, that she must be on time, and two, that no one must ever get upset with her. That's where must reveals its deeper layer. Taboo. For her, An angry teacher wasn't just inconvenient, it was unacceptable, emotionally off limits. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's fine to be constantly late. I'm not suggesting we go around upsetting everyone for fun. But when we're in the middle of something important, something that could change how we think, how we live, how we relate, maybe, just maybe, it's okay to break a few self-imposed rules. The problem with these musts isn't that they exist, it's that they don't bend. They don't leave space for the exception. Because when everything must always happen a certain way, and certain things must never happen, we end up boxed in by an invisible list of personal commandments. Unwritten laws that say, this is how I'm supposed to live. And when you ask why, the answer again is simple. Because I say so. So no, I'm not asking you to leave the house in your pajamas. But if you can't leave the house without eyeliner, or if you must be perfectly put together even when you feel like collapsing, then maybe it's time to revisit who's writing the rules. Because if we never challenge the musts we've inherited, we risk becoming obedient to a version of ourselves that no longer fits. And that version will keep whispering in our ear, day after day, as if it still has authority. Even when the child in you already knows, sometimes a spoonful of soggy carrots isn't for swallowing. Even if someone once told you it was, even if that someone is now you. The reason I bring this up, and why I think it's worth looking at the rules you've set for yourself, is because I see how much silent stress it creates. Not just now and then, but almost constantly. For so many people I meet and work with. Let's say you're at a party. Nothing major. Just a normal gathering with music. Some conversation. A bit of wine. And yet, instead of enjoying it, you find yourself locked in self-monitoring. You're not focused on the people around you, or the moment itself. You're thinking, am I saying the right things? Did that come out wrong? Is my outfit okay? Do I look good enough? Is my hair still in place? Do I seem like a fun person to be around? Am I holding my glass the right way? And just like that, you're no longer at the party. You're inside your head, reading from your invisible rulebook, the one filled with everything you must do and everything you must avoid. A book you didn't even know you were carrying, but one you reach for almost every day. And here's the truth. If you're flipping through that rulebook at a party, chances are you're doing the same thing at work, in your relationships, during conversations, even in front of the mirror. You constantly check, is this allowed? Is this good enough? Am I okay like this? And all of that? It creates stress. Not the obvious kind. Not the kind that makes your heart race or your hands shake, but the quiet kind. The type that tightens your shoulders, shortens your breath, and makes peace feel strangely far away. And most of us don't even realize we're doing it. We think it's just how life is. But it's not life. It's a system we built inside ourselves. A system full of rules we never questioned. And the longer we keep obeying them, the further we drift from ease. So maybe the question isn't just, what do I want from life? Maybe it's also, what have I told myself I must do? And who told me that in the first place? Because if the answer is just, because I said so, then maybe it's time to say something else.